Archaeology and video games, two topics that I enjoy very much, and when we apply archaeology in gaming, we get something super special. A very unique archaeological framework called Archaeogaming. So this video will just be a general overview of Archaeogaming, how it is applied, and how archaeology is represented in video games. Now, Archaeogaming really started with this man, Andrew Reinhardt. His team was the one who excavated the Atari burial site, digging up thousands of old Atari games in the middle of the New Mexico desert. He also published a book on Archaeogaming, but it covers more than just the dig. Now, there are a number of ways to conduct archaeology in a video game. However, the first and probably the most popular way of doing it is using the game as an archaeological site. Archaeologists are able to use real-world archaeological methods to excavate a site, as well as look at player activity and garbology. Archaeologists are able to use tools and mechanics in the game world in order to conduct these digs and surveys. A primary example of this, Reinhardt states, is the game No Man's Sky. In No Man's Sky, you are able to interact with things players have made, as well as explore ruins generated by the game world, both yielding to a unique archaeological record. Another way is how the game affects the real world and the players who play it. The main way we do this is looking at a game's newest versions and the older versions of said game. We are able to see what changed and why it changed. It can give us insight into many things, like how an audience is currently playing a game and how it used to be played. New updates can make certain items or abilities very good for a time and can change the landscape of a game. A good example of this is fighting games. Fighting games are very dynamic, and what characters get buffed or nerfed at a certain time can have a big impact on the game. Now, in every fighting game, there will be top tier characters. Think of Akuma in Street Fighter, or in my favorite, Guilty Gear, Soul Bad Guy, and Sin. They'll always be top tier no matter what update. However, with the Season 4 patch for Guilty Gear, characters like Bedman and Johnny are much better than they were in previous seasons, causing them to get picked a lot more. Now, a video game's impact in the real world goes way beyond just updates and what's meta. Have you ever been playing Counter-Strike and wondered, why the hell are there so many Eastern Europeans playing this game? Or you could be listening to a Dark Souls fan talk about the game and wondering, why the hell is this person so condescending and Puritan about how you play the game? Or you can even be playing Destiny and wondering why the hell everybody on my fire team is like 40 years old with 2 kids and bills to pay. And it all has to come down to video game culture. Video games do an incredible job of creating mainstay features in the industry due to something working, and people do an amazing job of creating cultures around a game. An example of a game that made a massive impact on the industry is Team Fortress 2, released by Valve on October 10th, 2007. It is a hero shooter that defined the genre, and many games take after it. Another example is Fortnite, and every single live service game after it having to implement a battle pass because it works and it makes just so much money. Archaeologists can use this to understand why the industry at a certain time was dominated by a certain genre or monetization model, as well as tracking how players reacted to it. Now, what about how a game impacts player culture? And the best example I can think of this is Counter-Strike. Since the first one released in the 2000s, it has been one of the most popular games in the world. It gained the majority of its popularity with the release of Counter-Strike Global Offensive, but why is it so popular, and why are all of these Europeans in my game? Well, the first reason is hardware limitation, which in Counter-Strike there's not a lot of. It's a very low stress game on your computer, so you don't need the newest computer to run it very well. So in countries with a weaker economy where people can't get brand new, really good PC parts, they still have the opportunity to play the game. Like in a lot of European countries. Which adds to the material culture of video games. Archaeologists can look at different consoles, different PCs from different parts of the world and see how they compare. Another reason is money. Counter-Strike is free to play, or you can spend $15 USD to have Prime status that gets you into lobbies without cheaters and you can earn in-game rewards. But let's be real, if you're playing Counter-Strike and you don't get killed by a cheater at least 3 out of the 5 matches you play, you're not really playing Counter-Strike. Finally, and possibly the most popular reason, are the cases.
And I'll open gamma case until knife. Ah! Grab an element! 9!
Which are also a great example of digital material culture, as you get weapon skins from the cases and you can use them in game, and if you don't want them, you can sell them on the marketplace for potentially thousands of dollars. Another incredibly important part of Archaeogaming is archaeology and how it is represented in video games. I love the Tomb Raider games, I think they're great, but from an archaeological approach, the events of the game are some of the most damaging to the archaeological record I have ever seen. It is not a good representation of the archaeological process. So how would a studio make a game about an archaeologist but make it accurate to the real process? By consulting with real-world archaeologists. If game studios are able to work with archaeologists, there's a pretty good chance that we can get a game studio that does a fantastic job of representing the archaeological process as well as material culture. We can also use it to create a reconstruction of things from antiquity like cities and even artifacts archaeologists have dug up. It is a great way to spread the field of archaeology and allow people to have access to digitized artifacts from around the world. One more application of Archaeogaming is the archaeology of a certain game. While it sounds similar to a game being an archaeological site, it is different as it is not based off of tool definition, glitches, player activity, or use of software or hardware. It simply looks at the environment in a game and the story the creator wants to tell, and it makes inferences based off of what we can read about in the game, like item descriptions and books. We need to take a post-perceptual approach to this. Elden Ring is the best example of this. Everything in this game, down to even the rocks, are placed with intent. The creators had a very specific story in mind that they wanted to tell, and they leave clues in item descriptions, the environment, as well as enemy placement in the game. And all this helps ask questions for what we're looking at. Why are these omen only ever found in the sewer? Who is this Rolana woman? Are there other clues in the game that might tell you? This used to be a battlefield. What are these massive rods sticking out of the ground, and what are they supposed to do? Why are there roots in this catacomb, and why are the corpses reaching for it? All of these are valuable archaeological questions that have answers if you keep digging. This way of looking at games can help students apply archaeological knowledge and thinking into a game and help them look for the smaller details and leave no stone unturned. Archaeological work for video games is important. We need to be able to track software and hardware used to make video games as they continue to evolve and create a biography and chronology of video games from the 1970s up until now. It is also incredibly important for the conservation of games. We need to be able to learn how to use the archaeological process in video games to ensure we keep the same ethical standards in the real world as in the virtual world. We will also need to understand how video games impact our culture. Why is any of this important? As video games become more ingrained in our society, it is only natural for archaeologists to look at them the same way as they will look at artifacts. They need dug up, they need to be studied, applied, and preserved.